So let's talk about one more concept here called inheritance. Now, inheritance is a fairly simple concept that's associated with classes and the objects that we bring to life with this .new method. So the way inheritance works is we can basically just borrow or import all of this code that we write for one class into another class. So for example, let's shorten this a little bit so we can kind of get it all on one page. And what we'll do is we'll create another class here called dog. So you can think of it almost like a subclass of animal. And this is how we implement inheritance. We just use this arrow key right here, and then we put the class name that we're importing from, essentially. So now, without having to rewrite any of this code, we've kept our code nice and clean and organized. We have this parent class, if you will, called animal, and then we have this child class here, or a subclass, where we're importing all of this functionality. So without having to rewrite any of this code, I can simply create a new object. We'll call it, our dog. We'll say dog equals dog.new. And we can even use the same methods here to give it color, the initialize method. So we'll say it's a black dog and the age is 5. So now we're creating a dog in the computer's memory and storing it inside this variable here. And so now this dog can describe itself using this verb here, as we call it, this method. We'll just do dog.myDescription. And if we run this code, we'll see that the first animal object called A over here went ahead and did its description, and then just below that, our black dog here that you can see described itself. So again, think about how this is useful in a real-world setting, right? So if you have electronic products, you might have a general class here called product, and then you might have subclasses like computers, right? So you may want to organize your code a little bit differently for computers and give it some, unique features, but you don't want to affect all of the products across the board. So that's how this would come in handy. And just to illustrate this one step further, we can add special, functions just for the dog class that the rest of the, the broader animal scope won't get. So we can do that by saying, something like this. Right, so from here we could make sure we didn't lose that instantiation. We need to make sure that there is an actual object for it. And we'll give it a different age this time. So now if we run this, we'll see that this dog is able to bark, right? But any animal objects that we create can't actually use the bark method. Only the dog class can. So again, I know this is kind of hard to wrap your head around because we're actually doing quite a bit by moving data through all of these different methods and organizing it in certain ways. But the long story short is this is just a way to organize our actual code. So any kind of real world product, any kind of, the users that we might have on our website, we're going to give them all classes. So you're going to see classes quite a bit in Ruby projects and especially Ruby on Rails apps. And it's just a great way to keep things organized. And you'll see that more down the line as we start to build our own Rails apps.